How's it going? So welcome back to the channel. My name is Ruben, and on this channel I do all kinds of how-to videos showing you how to get professional results out of all of your floor cover needs. So on this video here we're working with some VCT. It is the vinyl composition tile that you will see in Walmart and stuff like that. Anyways, we have had some water damage here on this job, so they have pulled up. The floor is really sticky. It's got lots of little particles and stuff like that stuck to the floor, and we are going to prep it and install new tile over it. So in this video I want to show you how to prep out a really rough floor for VCT. Okay, so as you can see, all the little white squares and stuff like that, all the white stuff is where tile particles is stuck to the floor from the previous tile glue. So if you look right, you can see each individual square there. That's where the tiles were, and the sticky parts has collected white debris and stuff like that. So VCT is probably the most crucial floor covering that you can install as far as floor prep, because they do put a wax on it. It gets really shiny, and that just enlightens or enhances any imperfections in the floor prep whatsoever. And in a situation like this right here, where there is a bunch of debris and stuff like that stuck on the floor itself, it really takes a lot of work to get the floor exactly how you need it to get good results out of your tile. So on top of debris and stuff like that being stuck on the floor, we are going over a chipboard, so we definitely have got a lot of prep work to do. And in this video I'm going to show you the fastest, most efficient way to get your floor perfect for even a shiny substance like VCT. So the first thing that I want to do before I sweep, before I even do anything, it's not going to do a whole lot of good to sweep this right now, because there is a lot of stuff stuck, and that is the purpose for this. I'm going to take my Crane razor scraper, and I actually turn my blade around backwards so that the razor blade is not digging in the chipboard, but I have the dull edge just to knock loose all of the debris. So I'm going to go over the entire floor. I ain't got to be really fancy or time consuming or anything like that. The purpose of doing this is just to knock the debris loose, what is stuck to the floor. That way it is able to be swept up. Okay, so again, I'm just going to go over the entire floor. Okay, so I did want to point out that whenever I scraped the whole floor, I did it like I was spreading glue or something, like I would not trap myself in a corner. Once you knock the stuff loose with the scraper, the last thing you want to do is walk all over and get it stuck right back in there. So I started in the far corner of the room and went back and forth across the room and worked my way right out the door so that I did not have to walk right back on what I scraped up. Now I'm going to sweep it, and I will just start sweeping, get this out of the doorway, and I'll go right around the walls with the little broom, sweeping out where I am walking so I'm not matching anything in the sticky. And then I'll take my push broom and go over the center of the room, and I'll be back to show you the next step. Okay, so we got everything scraped and swept up. All of the debris that is possibly going to come up from sweeping, we got up. And now we want to take our vacuum cleaner hose and go around the edge of the wall. We want to suck everything out from underneath the sheetrock. That way when we're spreading our mud here in just a few minutes and we get our trowel close to the wall, it's not going to pull debris and stuff like that out from underneath the sheetrock. We don't want garbage in our mud by no means, okay? So I'm going to take a few extra minutes to make sure that we keep it clean and suck all the debris, dust, and everything out from under the sheetrock. Okay, so here we go. Now we have everything, like I said, swept and cleaned up the best we can get it with the sticky substance on the floor. And just sitting here, I just now found a little piece of something there. And that just goes to show when you're working in a situation like this, there's no possible way to get everything up off the floor because of the sticky substance, even though it has been swept really good, vacuumed around the walls and stuff like that. I can just feel stuff still. Just doing that right there, little bitty granules of busted tile and stuff that is stuck in the sticky residue left from the old VCT glue. So what we need to do is get our mud, and even this is a chipboard, and like I was saying a while ago, VCT is one of the most complicated things to prep for, just because they do put a wax on it and it is a really shiny product with the wax on it. You can lay it down and then it looks good, and then they can put a coat of wax on it and it'll show every little thing underneath of it. So it's very important that you get a really good floor whenever you're installing VCT. And again, we got all this little bitty stuff that's on this floor, and we're going over a chipboard. So what we need to do is get our mud thick enough to compensate for all of the little granules, you know, the texture of the chipboard, the seams in it and stuff like that. So in order to do that, it would take probably a good 3 or 4 coats of mud going over it with a crack filling trowel or a floor patch trowel, whatever you would call it. So I've got a way that we can do it in 2 coats and everything will be absolutely perfect. So this is going to be a little bit different than what you guys have seen before. I'm actually going to use a 16th, 16th, 16th square notch trowel, and I'm going to use that. You'll see right here. I'm going to use that to spread my mud. Okay? That's a little bit weird. I know it's a little bit weird, but what that's going to do, look here. So I'll show you right here. This is actually going to give me the depth of the mud that I need to compensate for everything, okay? So I want to get this little bit done here, and then I'll show you and explain exactly what I'm talking about. So with a 16th by 16th square notch trowel, and running it at an angle like you do to mix it, you're probably at least getting a 32nd thick, maybe a little bit more. Then you do run it sloped over at an angle and not straight up and down. So you're anywhere between a 32nd thick to a 16th inch thick, which is going to be absolutely perfect for what we need to do, because we do need a little bit of thickness, like I said, to compensate for all the garbage on this. I want to get the camera and show you up close there. So if you can see the ridges right there in the floor patch that I just spread out. Now the next time what I will do, so I'll spread this out and then I'll let this dry, and then the next time whenever I go over it, I will use my crack filling trowel, and that will smooth over all of these ridges and stuff like that. This is just like glue ridges. And then with my crack filling trowel, it's going to go over it, and that's going to give me a nice little blanket of mud over the entire floor, like I said, about a 32nd to a 16th of an inch thick. So that's building it up over all the garbage that's on the floor, over all the chipboard texture of the chipboard, the joints, the stuff that's stuck in the residue on the floor. It's just going to eliminate all of that because we're building up a 32nd to a 16th of an inch thick on the mud in 2 coats versus 4 or 5. Okay, so this right here is the very next day. It was late last night when I put this on, so this is the next day. It had plenty of time to dry, and let me get down close here. As you can see, we got plenty of depth in the grooves right there. That is, like I said, just like you was to spread glue on the floor. So now that's going to be really nice. So I'm fixing to put my second coat on the floor right now. Everything now is nice and dry. You can see a little bit. You see right there's a little bit of something where some part of the particle or chipboard flaked up right there. So we are going over it one more time and After that, we're going to have plenty of depth in this mud, and we're going to be able to sand it down, so whatever is there is definitely going to be compensated by the thickness of the mud, and we'll be able to sand it down smooth. Okay. So, and once again, I am mixing my mud up nice and runny so it does spread real easy. You can see this is a little bit darker right here. This whole run right down through here is darker. That's what happens if you mix it up thicker and lighter. This was actually mixed a little bit thicker than the rest of it there, so that's why this is a darker. It's got more of the actual powder in it, so that's why it looks a little different right now. But anyway, so now I'm going to take this second batch of mud and just spread it over my notches, all of the grooves in the floor, and it's going to fill in all the grooves and keep my depth in mud, which was the purpose of the whole process right here. It's going to make it really, really nice and thick. Like I said, about 1/16 or 30 seconds thick. That's going to give us plenty to compensate for all the roughness. Okay, I'm gonna, as soon as I get done a little piece here, I'll show you what it looks like. I got a few high rough spots in this, and that's actually going to be okay too, because like I said, when this coat right here dries, we are going to be sanding over everything, and that's going to level everything down to the same height. The only thing that I would definitely recommend is making sure that you do get close to your wall, at least close enough to where the baseboard and stuff like that, whatever's going down is going to cover it, because this is going to be pretty thick. So if you stop an inch away from the wall or something like that, and then you glue your tiles down and you get glued down on the straight plywood floor and on this floor patch, it's going to dip down because this is going to build up pretty thick. So we want to make sure we get our mud at least close enough for the baseboard to cover. I would like to point out this time I am using my crack fill and trowel. It has no grooves in it because I'm just smoothing over everything now. Okay, so this right here is the second coat, and as you can see, it's already starting to dry right up in there. Pretty much everywhere where I started at, it's already starting to dry. The second coat was not as thick naturally because it just filled in the grooves from the first coat, and it turned out really nice. Got a really nice and thick cover, and this is a total of 3.5 bags is what it took to do this room. So as soon as I'm able to get in there, I will measure the room and see how many square footage it is. It is a pretty good size room. I think it's like an 18 by 18 or something. So it's a pretty good size room, and that way you can have some kind of an idea of how far that stuff goes if you do it like that. So as soon as it dries, I'll be able to get in there and measure it and give you some kind of idea. So the lines running to and from the camera right there are actually little humps in the mud. The circular lines from my previous trowel mark is just what you see through the coat of mud. So you can see right there it's already starting to dry, and I just now put it down. So this is going to work out great. You can see my previous lines in it right there. Now I'm just filling in. So this is going to be great. Okay, so this is the second coat of mud that we've got put on, and as you can see, there's absolutely no of the original subfloor showing. As far as it looks, this is a complete concrete floor, so we got absolutely great coverage over the whole floor. Really nice and thick mud. So now the only thing left, I would like to mention too, as I stated a few minutes ago in the video, that right there was some clumps of the chipboard in random spots. There was one there, and right there was another one. I actually flaked them out. The pieces that were there, I did tear up and mudded over them. That way they was not raised up. That actually looks kind of rough, but it's just discolored from the thicker mud that was there. It's actually not bad at all as far as it being smooth and stuff. So I done that to all the places, that way it wasn't raised up, because the wood is going to sand slower than the mud. So I wanted everything to pretty much sand evenly. So any of those flakes from the chipboard that was raised up, I did peel off before my second coat of mud went down. Then I just filled it back in with the second coat of mud. Okay, with the second coat of mud down, now the only thing that we're going to have to do now is, I got this sander with about a 12 grit, I think, sandpaper on it, and I am going to sand over the entire floor. Should go pretty quick with one of these big machines like this. It usually don't take too long, so probably about 10 minutes maybe to do this whole room, and then we'll sweep it off and see what we got. Okay, so this is absolutely slick as a whistle. You can definitely see the lines in it. That is from my original trowel marks that I was using with the notched trowel. However, the mud is plenty thick enough. You absolutely see no subfloor whatsoever, and that right there is absolutely slick as a whistle. I mean, it is slick. That is great. Turned out really nice. Okay, so I think this is an absolute perfect way to compensate for a super rough floor. However, I would suggest this only for super rough floors. If it's a little bit rough, you could get by with just skimming over it a couple times and been done with it. But if your floors are really, really rough and you need a really good finish for something such as this, a VCT, or something that takes immaculate floor to get good results, this is definitely the way to go to get, like we had here, the chipboard, stuff stuck in the glue, everything like that. This floor absolutely turned out flawless. So this is by far the way to go whenever you're working on an extremely rough floor to get great results. If you enjoyed this video, smash that like button and give me a comment in the comment section down below. Tell me what you thought of this. Have you ever done it like this? Is it worth considering trying on the next time? So the square footage of this room is 342 square feet, and it took 3.5 bags of floor patch to do this, which is definitely quite a bit more than if a person just skimmed it. Going over the regular floor with a mud trowel, it probably would only take about a bag to do this size, and you could get 2 coats of mud. So it definitely takes more, but you get results like this over an extremely rough floor. So all in all, it's definitely worth it if you want to get your great results out of your tile job. Until next time, FBSB's out.